It's September 11th, 2013. This is the Ogdensburg Region Board meeting. First order of business, I'll explain that there's no Ogdensburg Water Station meeting this evening. So what we'll do first is we have a special presentation. We have Sal Pizzani for his associate manager of the St. Lawrence Seaway Development Corporation, and we're really honored to have Sal give us the Pacesetter Award. And let Sal come forward and make this presentation.
Okay. Certainly, it's always a pleasure returning to the Bridge and Port Authority down the road at Mayor's Port. Congratulations. Congratulations, and certainly to all the board members here. Pacesetter Award, this is, I believe, the 7th one that the Port of Ogdensburg has received. And the Pacesetter Award was clearly demonstrates the economic relevance of the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority, and specifically its port. I guess in 2012, you handled 29,000 tons of export cargo, and certainly a lot of windmills, which generate a lot of jobs in the area. And certainly it's a credit to the staff here at the Bridge and Port Authority, and certainly the labor force that you have at the port, the ILA, and certainly the number of jobs that are associated with that. I can only reflect back and say that New York State got this one right. And certainly the investments that were made in the past and are continued to be made here at the Bridge and Port Authority to advance the port and its infrastructure go a long way. I don't have to tell this board, if you had to try to duplicate building a port today, economically it would be infeasible, just not feasible to do something like that. And this board and certainly previous boards realize the importance of transportation, the rail, besides the marine, obviously the bridge and the industrial park and your airport. Those are all vital transportation networks that need to be in place, and truly it is an economic engine, and it goes a long way in spurring on development in your area. So I would like to present this on behalf of our administrator. She couldn't be here today, but Betty does send her congratulations to you and to your board for the Pacesetter Award, and certainly we look forward to presenting this again next year. Congratulations.
Thanks. So the bridge.
There's a big glare in the window.
There we go.
I got the.
He told me to take a whole bunch. So.
As soon as I left during the week, they called me and they said, "You got to get some pictures for the Seaway Review and our newsletter." So I said, "All right." So I commandeered. Yeah, I want you to get a couple more just in case. Because Tisha said she needs something new.
Yeah, it's going to share something. I'm going to wait because I don't know if they're going to do that. Okay?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Sal, I just want to say thank you because this is credit the board, credit this management team, even more importantly, it's credit
Oh.
worked so hard here.
Okay. I don't know how quick it's going to be done.
This award by the Seaway is greatly appreciated.
You're quite welcome. It's well deserved. Thank you very much. Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
One of those exceptional, great feelings to receive an award like that. And I think the way what you just said, the hardworking people that work on it, that did the project, and
There's several things I'd like to draw your attention to in the purple board read file. First and foremost, there is an item that we need to discuss regarding CNS companies in executive session. You'll see that there. The second thing in there is a monthly update from the Volatus firm for efforts on our behalf. The third item in there is a draft update on the special projects feasibility from McFarland Johnson. The third item in there is more of an educational item. It is a toll system description for anything and everything you've ever wanted to know about a toll system and what makes it tick is in here. That will become important in the future. There is a St. Lawrence Factory Stores motion to, there's a notice and motion to dismiss. That's in there. Former employee who's retired now, Pat Hill, was kind enough to send us a nice article about a bridge fixing up in Canada. Very interesting stuff. I encourage you to take a look at that when you get a chance. There's news articles from Period. There is a confidential memo in there from the Public Border Operators Association regarding taxes in Canada on bridge structures. I encourage you to take a look at that and give an opportunity. Our budget was approved on August 14th. I have to fill down that again, so pick out those being so late. And there, that concludes the general correspondence.
Any comments on that? Lori? Okay.
Oh, there was one other thing that's come to my attention. There was a letter received from the Longshoremen's Association. 2 board members today. Council will be drafting a response for the board chairs.
We have your package, you have the monthly board minutes from the August 7th meeting. Any chance to review those? We have a motion to approve.
I'll move that.
Gavin, do you have a comment? Or-
Nope.
Oh, you want, okay.
Sure.
Motion?
I'll second.
Doug will second. People still working on it. Everybody else set? Any further discussion? Okay, what do you? Huh? Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any comments, presentations, we already did that. Wait, I guess we're ready for your report.
Okay, you should have a separate packet of staff reports. I'll go through briefly. It's been a very busy month at the Bridge and Port Authority. A lot of good stuff going on. A couple of highlights I'd like to bring to your attention. The toll system description. I'll need you to take a look at that, primarily because we need it. The old one is over 10 years old. It's outdated. And, you will be learning more about that going forward, but there is a need for one there, and I want to get you up to speed on that. In addition, we will be conducting at some point in the future a tour of the toll system so you can understand it, see how it works, and understand just exactly why this thing is as critical as it is and as expensive as it will be. So we'll just kind of want to use that as an education
It's
opportunity.
just information.
Right.
Okay.
The CFA application for the Market New York program was submitted. That was a $1 million application. I need to send out special thanks to St. Lawrence County's grant administrator and also the Thousand Islands Tourism Council for their assistance in putting together that joint tourism application. We're hopeful we'll hear on that here in the near future. I want to extend a special congratulations to the authority team here on the pace setter work. There's a lot of hard work that was done on all sides of the table here to get that plaque that's located in the center of the table. So congratulations to everybody involved. I'm pleased to report our our volume incentive pricing from salt companies was successful. One company will be bringing in at least 3 additional salt ships this year, which translates into an additional 3,400 outbound trucks, and we will be serving areas south of Route 3 this year. This is an area that's not previously served by the Port of Ogdensburg and extends our reach and economic relevance. So this is going to be useful. The authority was successful in its $130,000 application for the security grants. And John will have more on that. We had a unique opportunity with the Army Corps of Engineers this past month to seize an opening in their schedule and get the borings done at the port potentially as early as October and November of this year. And that's important because that would have been a barrier later on in the process, and in my opinion, shortens the process by about another 6 months. It knocks it forward. So we will engage the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the project team, in the deepening study later this month with resolution hopefully shortly thereafter. The preliminary study is already completed. Another very important application that we put in this month was the rail bridge rehabilitation and grain bin installation. You can see some of the details associated with that. It's a $2.4 million project. We're asking for $829,000 for the rail bridges, installation of storage bins and a conveyor system at a cost of $1.5 million. OBPA is seeking $475,000 assistance from ESD and $850,000 from DOT's PFRAP program, which is Passenger Freight Rail Assistance Program. I need to specifically thank the multitude of letters of support that we're receiving from the parties that we deal with on a regular basis. I'm going to put together a full list of that, and we'll talk about that because there are a lot of folks assisting us in recognizing our economic relevance here, and we'd be remiss if we didn't thank them. Several items of note relating to the airport. There's a $3.1 million runway rehabilitation grant. We received it, executed it, and returned it to the FAA to get it on top of the file. We've coordinated a significant amount of effort this past month with airport engineers in support of the airport master plan, and we put forth a large amount of effort for the airport expansion project, and we'll need to talk about some of that in the next session. Negotiated 3 transactions for an industrial park expansion project. We'll need to discuss that in executive session. The hotel development RFP is out there. As you know, the deadline is the end of October. There has been some initial interest. Not sure how that's going to go. We'll see. We'll know as soon as the end of October. Several items have been discussed with council, and I've reached out to several board members this month on a variety of different issues, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Lee. Chief Financial Officer, Ed Long.
Just going to summarize what's here. I've provided quite a few analysis, or quite a bit of analysis for different things that we've been working on, pension report business, the scenarios involving our ILA negotiations, and provided data and information for the grant writing efforts. Again, I participated in the ILA negotiations. We have calculated and implemented new health insurance withholding amounts using per arbitrators accepted methodology, and met with TR online concerning our health system status. We are expecting to receive a proposal from them concerning upgrading our system. The next page, page 4, is our financial year to date. I think at this time, it's 5 months into the year, the bottom line revenue is just about right on from the budgeted amounts. Under expenses, the one that stands out is the benefits, and that has to do with unemployment, insurance. We only recognized 3 months last year. We're gonna have an extra month this year. I believe that it looked right because the unemployment was higher due to the wind project. So it didn't look right when I saw this number, and I looked into why it was higher, and it's higher because of unemployment benefits for the first quarter. And they were actually the first calendar quarter of the year, which was our fourth quarter. So we're recognizing an extra $59,000 period. If that $59,000 was out, that would be right on with the wages and salaries.
Fred, on that sheet, I don't know if you wanna go on any further, but the bridge inspection numbers,
Yeah.
is that gonna come out later on?
The bridge inspection was just completed, I believe, this week, Steve, or last week?
Just the interim inspection, yes.
Will that number go back to your budget?
Yeah. Yes. Any other questions about anything?
Just our, probably the same as last month, our ridge tolls, it looks like they're down again. Is
Yeah.
that because of the budget, the way you budgeted?
Right, they're down from budget, they're up from actual. Up from actual, just about the same, just about the same percentage. I think it's 1% difference, I think they're up. I think the traffic, as we'll see on the next page, the traffic is up about 6%, and the tolls are about 5%. I believe probably the fact that the trucks are not up, and that's a higher revenue source. Trucks are down a little bit, so it's a mix of, the reason it's 6 to 5, but it's down from budget because I attempt to I don't budget straight equal each month. The next page is the bridge traffic. As you can see, it was up, the autos were up 4.5% in August, but the trucks were down over 6%, giving total crossings up being 3.62. Year to date, we're up about 6%. I did take a look at how we're doing. It's interesting. We happened on to some historical information, and just pass these around to as far as they go. It's interesting to see how we're doing compared to the past bridge traffic, and if we could, I think now with this month lowering our overall percentage, that we are tracking to be just under the record year of 1991-92, which had 866,000 vehicles. Last year was 807,000. You can see that spikes up there in that last year. Before this last month, when I did this in July, it looked like we might break that record. Hard to tell, and possibility is still there. Although the other two bridges in the area are both, their traffic is both down. So we're fortunate that ours is still up, even though it's up less than we would hope.
Why in the month of May? What's the reason the month of May everything was up? What happens there in May?
Victoria Day.
What?
Isn't it Victoria Day?
Victoria, yeah.
Middle of the month, or third week of the
Does
month.
that make
Victoria
that
Day is
much
huge.
of a-
Everybody comes
And
to
Memorial
see
Day, so
Yeah.
they, sometimes
Yeah.
they'll do both
Yeah,
weekends,
right,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
it. You kinda get a double out of that, that's right, bonus, yeah.
We need more Mays.
I think it's interesting too, the traffic has changed for some of our Metro board members. Used to be the rule of thumb that we could expect about 500,000 crossings a year, about 100,000 trucks. Now it's up to 800,000 vehicles a year with 100,000 trucks. So basically that's kind of the new assumption going forward.
I appreciate all the numbers, man. Really, a lot of work that goes up and shows exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
Fred, I mean, I guess because I'm a numbers guy, I guess it's just a stupid question, I guess. I mean, why in 1992, 93 did we take like 150,000 jobs? I mean,
I'm guessing it has a lot to do with, and it's only a guess because I didn't look into it very deeply. I think it has a lot to do with the exchange rate.
Okay.
When the exchange rate is favorable for Canadians, we
Right.
see much more traffic.
Yeah, that would
Plot
make
of the
sense.
exchange rate along with that probably
Yeah,
corresponds.
that's what I mean, I was thinking the same thing, so I'm curious, I
mirror
might
it.
do that.
Yeah, mirror it, I imagine.
Okay.
What I'll do is add the exchange rate to this table.
I'd be interested.
Yeah, I don't know how easily that'll be to find for those back years, but I'm sure it exists. You know, the historical exchange rates.
Well, you
I'm
put
sure
it
it
in,
is.
they'll show you.
Yeah.
It's way back.
It's there.
Yeah.
Thank
I don't
you.
think it's all exchange rate, though.
No, I mean, it's got.
All of it is, you put all of them together, the gas,
Yeah.
the price of stuff. I was in the store, I go to the stores in Canada, when I'm over there, I go in them to look at the wine. When you look at a pound of butter, $5, and you look at the, the gas, and you look at the price of coffee, and the price of this, and the price of that. Plus, they've raised the thing, how much more the Canadians can bring back across the border. And that store right here is loaded all the time. I mean, Price Chopper built the one right at the Thousand Island Bridge, they didn't build it there for the summer people. They built it for that Canadian grab. You go in the parking lots and just look at them, especially early in the morning out here, you'll see 20, 25 cars from Canada. And they go to the store, they go to the gas station, and then they go home. It's the prices, to do business in Canada. Now, for instance, Lowe's has a door, fiberglass screen door, for $94. Here in Ogdensburg. Well, I happened to be over there, so I went into the store to find out what I could get from Canada. It was $164. Same at Home Depot, same prices. They were compatible in Messina with the one here, over there, $164. So there's, $70 right there in the same door, same manufacturer. I mean, I looked at everything to make sure it was even. So I think that's a lot to do with it. People, gonna continue to come here, and the more they boost that they can take home, the better it's gonna be for us over here. I think that's where you're gonna find the big difference. It's not gonna be in the money exchange.
Fred, even with the long wait lines up in Messina, if you go shopping in Messina, Hannaford's or BJ's in that area, there's a lot of Canadian traffic, and they come through with the back, two carts, and they load up their vans and stuff, and they go back home.
And I think that's got a lot to do with, hopefully Dick's coming to Messina. It's because of that, and that's good for us. It makes it good for us. But I don't think it's all on the money. That's all I want to share with everybody. I mean, you probably already knew this. But I like to shop.
You didn't buy $165.
No, I'm right here.
Frank, you want to continue?
I'm waiting for my 10% discount.
Page 6 is the airport activity report. You see that the passengers were with us again over 1,000 in August. That's the second month in history that that's been over 1,000. And up a little bit higher percentage than July. It was down, 8 passengers in August from July, but up significantly from last August, bringing us up to about 10%. The employment number, the 1773, was not updated. I missed that, so that 38.3% is incorrect. That percentage would be about the same as the employments. On the fuel, I haven't got August numbers in here yet, but that's up 35% for the first 4 months. Any questions?
This reported alarms are all that we should be aware of. We should really look at, or, they're just predictable, I guess, at that point in time.
Yeah, well, my concern, I would think, is the fact that the traffic on the bridges, the other 2 bridges in the area is down. Makes you wonder if that's not what's going to happen to ours. Our traffic remains strong, still up, and why is ours still up and the other 2 bridges down a little bit? So that would be something to watch out for. We might see a negative number there.
I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I us, but it's made it 4 in 2 weeks is actually quite a bit for Montalban to hear. So I don't know.
I mean, there's no way whatsoever to prove this, but I would assume part of it also has to do with wait time.
Yeah.
You have a
Oh, yeah.
45-minute wait time,
No question.
to the west of us, a 25 to 45-minute wait time to the east of us, and you have a 35-second wait time here at Ogdensburg. I mean, that's got to play into easy traffic flow.
Surprised the truckers, when we had this conversation in the other meeting, it's why the truckers haven't picked up.
That would be my only,
Okay, Karen, will you give us your report?
Sure. I have worked with Kelly over at CNS. I know Steve will probably tell you more about the new ARF truck, about getting everything, finished up, getting the money for that. So we had at least part of it there when the truck came. Working on getting some paperwork together for the Project X670, with American State Development. They, as far as I know, have everything they need. We haven't heard back from them. We were requested to give some information to the state for our MWPE spending. I worked on getting that together. I went to Albany for some New York State contract compliance training in the middle of August. Still working on some insurance stuff with Mr. Fieldman, Mr. Gallagher, just, seeing where we are. We had a meeting to see how things have been going since we switched. I know we talked a couple meetings ago about an RFP for banking. I got one ready for Fred to look at as soon as I hear back from the comptroller's office. So I make sure there isn't anything we have to do specifically with them since they kind of, look over our account. So, did our prepaid sales tax report, and I'm going to be working on August bank reconciliations and our actual quarterly sales tax reporting the next week or so.
Anything else? I want to go back, because that's something Fred and I had talked earlier today about, working with the banks. I know, Pat, we talked about, looking for bids and stuff from the banking partners, RP machines. Is there any progress on that, or we,
the currency exchange, of course, will be part of the RFP. Did you get those rates? I'm wondering what
No, we haven't heard back from the bank. We actually tried to call this afternoon to get what our rate is compared to what everybody else's rate is, but I haven't heard back. I can't do that.
We do get a discount or a better rate than just, if I walked into the bank and handed them a 20 and exchanged that for Canadian money. That was negotiated a while back, but I think it's still, we pay quite a fee. I mean, I think it looks like more fee than we need to for exchange of US dollars, Canadian dollars. So far, right now, I believe that our difference at the toll booth, 25 cents on a auto, but it's 8%, is making a big difference in our exchange cost. I think it's just about, I think it is paying the difference.
But just to be clear, this is going out to RFP.
Yes, it is.
I actually touched
Yes.
base
That's
with
what-
the lady
that's the-
yesterday, yeah.
that's the answer, okay.
But we can't do it without that, because that is the controller's account. Yep.
Yes.
When
They're gonna go live
Okay.
over there, so she apologized for the inconvenience, that just as soon as they finish that this week, she'd be back to answer for us.
John, you want to give us your report?
Sure, we were awarded a $131,000 port security grant. Just for your information, that'll pay for, main entrance security gate, additional security fencing, lighting improvements, an emergency generator, lift arm gate and swing gates at the new entrance and at the Patterson Street entrance as well. It's good news.
I'm gonna stop you right there,
Yep.
because I think it's really an accolade for you that, involved here in this process, whatever. When did you start this grant, and how long does it take for us to process it all?
second
that,
one,
how it
actually,
worked
we
out.
got one right 4 years ago as well.
Excellent, excellent job.
Um, we've been working with a small Canadian distributor of agriculture fertilizer, really for about 4 or 5 years now. And, he has railed in some product in the past and discharged it directly in the truck and brought it up to Canada. He's a small player in that field. He is, we've got an agreement on the agenda tonight where we would be unloading 25 rail cars and putting it into storage and bagging that product and delivering it to them by truck. Most of it going into Canada, but we're also assisting them with trying to develop the market on this side of the border as well, in the North Country. So, yeah, we hope that expands over the years. We'll be attending Breakbulk Americas in New Orleans, not next week, the week after that. About 230 exhibitors and about 4,000 attendees. We always develop good leads and prospects, conversations, it's educational as well, so it'll be a good conference for us to be at. We have a kickoff meeting next week with a large local industry, trying to, again, encourage them to use the port facilities. So it's just the initial meeting, and what the IDA there, and Tony Collins, head of the North Country Regional Economic Development Council there, has agreed to attend as well. We thought it was important to get involved in the initial efforts. We've done outreach to 6 large agricultural firms, and that's because of the fall harvest coming up, so we're just trying to encourage them to use the facilities, and there's 1 or 2 that will likely use us this fall. So, encouraged about that. Continue to work with the 2 industrial firms that have an interest in the Wagner Road parcel. Placed a small ad in Maritime Executive magazine that goes out to about 35,000 people in the port business. Something new, we thought we'd try it. Done ads in North Country now, and implemented our ads on PAC 98.7 in Q Country. Did a lot of site visits last month. The IDA, and a couple of those companies have actually come down and met with local attorneys to get incorporated and to meet with local accounting firms, so they are progressing. They're saying, 6 months to a year time frame. So, good prospects, and hopefully some of them will materialize into actual customers. Book Mob, for example, is on there. It's just a small distributor of textbooks, and that's on the agenda for tonight. It's just a small office that he's running. There's some foreign trade zone information on the agenda as well, and this other such matters is an application from a local company that just came through my emails just a few minutes ago, so looking for approval on that. So, and then there's quite a few lease renewals on there as well. I think we'll see probably in the next 3 months space in the park what's going on with the 2 businesses there and some other interests. You're going to see some of that starting to flow up here.
Did you ever do back to Montreal? Was that, hits on that? Did we, anything ever come out of that?
Not directly. I mean, we've been visiting Montreal firms. I don't know that nothing came out of that particular effort. That stopped a long time ago.
I know that,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just looking to, if that was something you wanted to go back and revisit or something like that, but obviously,
Yeah. I just heard about another publication up in Canada that I wasn't aware of within Canadian business yesterday, and so there's a Canada publication I'd like to advertise, and I thought we'd try that, yeah.
it seems that market is where we have to go.
Well, there's potential in Montreal too. The IDA's had some success with some Montreal firms. I've had some calls with them, and in our last mailing, we did
Creek Yogurt or the Pops, Malt, whatever, everything back from them, they get what they were doing, recruiting or whatever? research?
Just the two companies that still have an interest. One that they want me to get back to in October, November timeframe. The other one's building a plant in Maine right now, and how successful that is will dictate if they take the next step. And you know, they have an interest here, but they haven't
So
delved
one is
into it.
a little warm,
Yeah,
and the other one's really cold,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Talking about the Greek yogurt, Sam, just to give you a little bit of information, how it's flown and how it's going. The Kraft, which was sealed test plant in North Point, nothing out of business. And they're not up to state. They can put 200 employees. We only got about 75. And that's a big investment we got from St. Louis County and the OBPA. So, here recently, they just picked up a big one. So that's gonna help the North Country. Them plants need to pick up on that Greek yogurt. So we do have the capabilities of companies that want to make. I just want to share. Because, you know, I'm very happy that they're looking at those other plants, because they're already there. They're just sitting there in an idle situation. It's the same thing with Chattahoochee cheese. That's starting to move, a big expansion there. So that's good for the North Country. But I really think the Greek yogurt target that we want is Canadian. If we could have marketed it in Canada and made it here and put it over there, we'd have that. I think it would. Seems to be it.
Yeah.
But it might come, you never know. But I just want to let you know they are.
But I just want to know the board knows that we're still, it's an ongoing process, so we're still, okay.
The other question I have, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is New Orleans, who's going with them?
I will not show you. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for Ken? Thank you, Steve. I knew there was, a little further, a
Thank
little
you.
more page.
I'll just touch on a few things, probably mainly with the bridge and the port. At the bridge, most of the maintenance activities surrounding bridge deck repairs have been completed, and Majeski and Masters, our engineering firm, was in this week, and they completed an interim inspection, which is required whenever some items are listed in our inspection report. And just verbally, they gave us a passing grade on everything there, and they'll write up a report for that. And then second on our list was to try to get to some painting of the suspension cables. Some of those areas have deteriorated, and that was listed in our inspection. So you'll see if you go out there, that's our real point of concentration is getting those cables painted and keeping moisture out of the cables. At the airport, the new ARF truck is in service, and we went through ARF truck training with our staff, and we'll pick times to do the ARF truck training with other fire departments that have kind of overseeing our airport, such as Hewlett and Ogdensburg. So we'll work with them and introduce them to the new truck. I think that'll be something for them. And we received bids for the new snow removal. It's actually a large snow blower, and you'll see that in the, that'll be part of an agenda item. At the port, most of the activity this past month has been revolving around road salt. We received 2 vessels, each carrying roughly about 29,000 tons of Morton road salt. We relocated all that salt, and as of this week, all the stockpiles have been covered. And we are also shipping out 2 local townships, Morton Salt and North American. And we are still daily receiving grain by rail and also shipping it out by truck. At the other, we've done a lot of work around the bridge administration building, and, we've completed most of the carpet replacement and the painting, and, we're just about done Wade's office, probably another couple of days.
The 1970s barn board is gone. Thank you.
Very nice job.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Couple of questions I have. I mean, with all the storage, and I know we talked about a storage pad. We need more another storage pad anywhere?
Yes, that would, Wade and I have talked, and we've done an initial study with some design, and we've got a couple locations where, we're preliminary, we've got a design for all of that, and it's just a matter of funding the construction part of it.
And we've got 1.5 salt pads basically on what's designed. We've had a discussion before regarding the success of the salt contracts. It looks like we're getting there based on what we've already seen. We may have to pull the lever on that a little earlier than expected, but obviously that's a good thing because of the jobs and the extra tonnage going through the port. More to come.
Well, and we did a lot of preliminary work, knowing, I think maybe 2 years ago, we started with raising the tracks out there, kind of seeing what we needed, and then with doing the laydown area for the turbines, we put in a lot of stone as a base there,
Yeah.
just, so the money really is, it's kind of preliminary planning toward that, so there was some effort that we put out there to kind of, do some work that would help out in the long run.
It was interesting what Sal Pizzani said. If you're gonna do this port today, it wouldn't happen. All the work and all the things you need to do, the liabilities and environmental things you have to do, and you have the port dredge and all that stuff, it would be really prohibitive type of situation. Where we're very fortunate, that we maintain our infrastructure and do those type of things and, stay with it, make this a port.
Right.
Interesting. I had a question with Wade. We met last week, whatever. I guess an open session is a good time, anytime, whatever. I was on the bridge, a couple weeks back, and Wade and I talked about, Justin and Astrid, we talked about, I was on the bridge and, where I call it the gusset section, not the cable section, whatever you guys wanna call it, whatever.
Trusses or the.
Yeah, whatever you wanna call it. And there were 7 tractor trailers on the bridge. And of course, if there's 7 sitting there, someone's going the other way. And I was kind of concerned about what happens with all that weight in that particular section versus the cable section. If there's a difference of stress where it want to be, or how do you control that from this side? And we talked about, talk over to the Canadian side and say, hold it. Okay, you guys, we got too many people. I mean, they're doing their job. We can't tell them it goes faster than they want to do their job. But how do we tell them that, or they tell us that we know there's too many vehicles on that bridge?
Well, we've been through this before, and a lot of times the problem was with our old toll booth, they were backing up onto the US side, and I know Mr. Carter asked the question, I don't know, Fred, maybe, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, the same thing. And basically what it is statistically, they do a design based on all kinds of scenarios. So, I'll use one, for example. They can rule out that we would have the bridge loaded with trucks at a 45-mile-an-hour wind at 10 below zero. Trucks won't be traveling then, so you don't design for that because it's just not an event that's going to happen. So and this is some of my old notes here, but there's a design factor on, and if you.
Did you know I was going to ask this question?
Somehow I did. Bernie told me
Wait,
you
how
were
did I get
interested.
down to you?
And I said I'm going to do my homework.
You knew it was coming, didn't you?
Yeah, and I'm going to.
You thought you were out of there, didn't you?
No.
Well, I'd love to hear this.
There's a design factor on everything out there. With the main cables, it's 3 times the, what you're rated for. And then on the other items, like the structural components, it's probably somewhere between 2 and 2.5. And you're only as good as your weakest link. And I'm told some of the, I believe that there's some structural pieces that are considered, you know, everybody designs for. So there's certain bridge components that are designed with a distributed load. Basically, they say, all right, what happens if we have all trucks everywhere on that? It's designed.
There's a downforce load,
Right,
and
there's a
river
design.
load.
Okay, what happens if we have trucks just in one lane? Does the thing tip over? So you've got a design to take that load just on one side. What happens, you know, point loading and different items out there. The one thing you gotta remember too is there's 32 different spans out there. So I believe it's 127 feet on the girder spans, and you have 8 on each side. Then on the truss spans, it's at 234 feet. So, you know, if you're in the middle of the girder span, you're basically on your own little bridge. So what you need to worry about is just what's right there. So what I have there doesn't affect behind me or in front of me. That's all basically set to that specific span. So, you know, and then when you get out to the suspension cables, like for example, a suspender rope could go, but there wouldn't be a failure out there on the suspension span. It's designed that way. You might have to restrict and get right on it and repair it right away. But the suspension cables are what really matter out there. So, you know, there's a number of things like they got to take into dead weight, they got to take into wind loading, like I said, distributed load, live load, and then a balanced load. So that's where I'm talking about one lane or the other with that. But all of that is figured in when they design the bridge. And technically, the bridge could take fully loaded trucks all the way across it in a normal condition. I mean, it's.
That bridge could be loaded with trucks from the tail end. That tells me a lot of how strong that bridge is.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because, I mean, for example.
We're not gonna do that to test it, are we?
No, but I just.
How it makes out.
Right up through the toll booth, this is.
Yeah.
But, for example, they've got, like, say 4 loaded trucks came right to the toll booth here, and 4 came on the Canadian side. You'd have to design for the fact that 4 of them could all meet at a certain point on the bridge, and you make sure, you know, it's gotta pass. So statistically, that's where you design to a certain level where if you wanna design any higher than that, the cost is so astronomical that you've gotta take a certain amount of, well, this probably isn't gonna happen, and that's the example I used with the cold weather and 45. And then, for example, yeah, there's things we try to minimize when we're here. We don't like it. We don't like to leave them on the, you know, there. You know, we can keep things moving. We'll try at all costs, but sometimes, you know, if you can keep them off the bridge and just kind of meter them through, that's a better scenario. But there's times when we're not here all the time or things like that. But in no way do we push the limits of the bridge, even though, you know, you're out there and you may think, you know, this is quite a load for it, but I think it's a testament to the design of the bridge.
Well, I'm sitting on the bridge and after a truck goes by, I'm going, well, we're moving.
Yeah.
We're moving, yeah, we'll affect whatever.
Yeah.
It ties right back into the fact we've got the highest design capacity and lowest utilization of any three.
Correct. And that's why, you know, to keep these design components in good working order, we don't want to allow any part of that bridge to be lowered so that we have to take a lower load limit on that. So that's why we're constantly on top of
Now,
those things.
let me take it a step further, because now you gotta be interested to know, we have a 90,000-pound load. That's the most we allow unless
Right.
you ask for a permit for more. How far can we go up?
Well, there's a certain, you can go up, but what happens is over cycle time, it's a cost benefit thing. Over times, if you go to 120, the life of your bridge is gonna drop.
Oh, I know, but I mean, so in other words, a special, I try to think, what is it, Bruce, Big Tree, who's the guy? Who had
There's
the-
Ron Point.
Yeah.
Ron, yeah, and so he had a piece of equipment that was very, very heavy. So he has a permit and whatever
and we escort them across.
That's where we cross,
Right.
it's these little white.
Yeah, well, we've had things up to, I don't know, weight, I think, we've had things, depending on axle weight, up to 260, 270, but it's a huge trailer, and the distribution, and we have to send all that axle, configuration to Majeski and Masters, and they approve it, so they may say, well, you need another, you need an axle here, or this, or it doesn't fit for our bridge, and then they'll make it work.
I think if memory serves, we even had something way back in our history, it was a version of the stripped down tank.
Yeah.
Across the bridge.
Yeah.
And we just sort of was actually when we crossed the line, nothing else is on the bridge along the line, that's one, just stipulations.
Well, I'm glad you were prepared for that answer, because I'm gonna tell you what, that wouldn't come off the top of your head, I know.
Sure I wanna, right, Steve? Sure.
Yeah. Oh.
The notes gave it away, though.
I brought out the original final draft there, and it's got the technical aspect there, but I
So what
figured
have you done?
if I
didn't
started
ask the
reading
question.
it.
What have you done? Why don't you give your report on those? You could give your report on that one, weren't you?
No, I kept some notes, but I figured if I read it out of there, you'd know I was cheating.
Well, I'm glad you guys communicated, that's good.
No,
I
Wade
appreciate
was
that.
concerned, and it had been brought up before, and it's
Yeah.
quite a complicated thing to explain, you know, and I try to do the best I can.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, really I do.
That's some golden.
Okay, I guess we're into things against the facilities committee, met today.
We have 6 issues on the facilities committee. And, I'll just turn it over to Mr. Davis. Everything was approved. Bring to the full board for approval.
Finance report, committee, annual report.
We will have to give a report next, meeting.
Any other committee that we should report on, Lee? Missing?
No, not at this time. Anticipate we need first opening meeting eventually for the union negotiation, also as a final. But that's in the future. Last proposal.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. The next part of my agenda here is, we have Wednesday, October 2nd, as our next meeting date. I'll ask this question, I mean, to me, I talked to staff people today a little bit about meeting in the morning versus meeting in the afternoon. How's it work again? I mean, you guys gotta let us know. We wanna stay consistently to 4 o'clock, or do you wanna go back to noon?
Doesn't matter to me, whatever's convenient for everybody else.
Afternoons were better for me, but I can, as long as I have enough lead time.
What, you're,
Doesn't matter to me.
anybody?
Well, it's a lot easier in the wintertime to have the meeting in the morning,
Yeah,
rather than late at night.
I don't have any problem with morning meetings at all.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, could we start them at 8 o'clock and not have another committee meeting prior to it? So that we're done by, so the people that are working don't lose the morning and their afternoon. They lose, you know, to prepare for it.
We can do that.
That's all.
That's good.
There's nothing to do for me, but.
Yeah,
If we were doing the mornings, that would be great for me if we started at 8, that'd be fine.
okay. Yeah, let me, what, so, I'll schedule that for, wait, 8 o'clock in the morning?
We'll do 8 o'clock for the board meeting.
Okay.
For the facilities committee meeting, we typically need one of those, we want to pencil it in 7:30, is that too early? We want to do that, we generally have things that we.
Well, we can do it the day before, if Fred and Don and I, mean, it's, on Monday, I mean,
7:30 is fine with me.
7:30? 7:30?
That's probably the only meeting that we really need to do it.
Yeah.
And the other ones, we could always do it later.
Yeah, because it generally seems like the facility committee, committee meeting always has something that needs to.
Half an hour should be fine.
Would you wanna move the half, regular meeting up to 8:30, or is that, keep it there? 8 better?
8's better, 8's better.
Okay, 8 o'clock, so 7:30, so,
all the meetings in the future, so I can change my calendar now?
Say, you know,
All the meetings for rest of this year, so I can change my calendar?
all the meetings,
No, we got 3 left. So, okay.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, all right.
And the date's good. Okay,
We have a couple of agenda items over on page 3. First is a resolution requiring the use of New York State certified crane operators on all bridge and port authority property. Just a little bit of background there.
If I may back up just for a minute. Earlier in the discussion with meetings, we had on the second and third and fourth. So, you might wanna look at your schedule.
Oh,
That's fine, I just wanted to mention it to you, because I don't have a problem if you gotta change it because there's your meeting, I don't think anybody else does. As long as we get notification.
Routes doesn't occur until the 4th. Fourth is travel.
Then we'll find
So it should be okay.
Just wanted to mention it. Okay, sorry.
Just to clue everybody in what we're talking about too, there is a unique opportunity that's coming up to market the airport at Las Vegas at the Routes Conference. That's where airlines go to get matched up with airports and find new business opportunities. And we will be scheduling a series of meetings out there. The first agenda item is agenda item A1, is approval of the resolution from the New York State Certified Crane Operators. As I mentioned, the background on this is New York State requires that if you operate a crane within the confines of the state, you have to be certified by the New York State Department of Land. And they have a certificate of competence that they issue. Their authority for this dates back many years, but was actually enforced through General Business Law, Section 483, back in 2010. We're catching up with it, and we need to have this in place. And I do have some information here if anybody's interested in seeing what the requirements are. I'll pass that around if anybody's interested. But we do need to have this. We brought it forth to the Facilities Committee and
So that means that any longshoremen and stuff that are working down there on a windmill project or something are all gonna have to be certified?
No, that's not correct, because it deals with the confines of the state of New York. The ship is longshoreman, the ship is outside of the state of New York. For cranes at the port, that applies for cranes on the bridge, that applies for cranes on, hopefully, the rail bridge rehabilitation, if we're successful in the grant, that would apply. So it aligns us with the state report.
One of the things that this brings, Doug, is a safety issue for us to be making sure that people are certified it's on there. We don't have any of that idea. So Steve could walk up and see me on there, if he doesn't ask me, I could be operating that crane and something could buckle, and I'm not a licensed crane operator. We're gonna need your liability problem. And that particular issue.
I agree with it, I think it's
I wanted to come to your question, as far as, this resolution doesn't look at who is what or what they are, their union, non-union, whatever. All it looks for is the certification that he can operate that crane. It could be anybody. But, on the other hand, if the longshoreman, if we need, say we're gonna rent 6 cranes, and we decide to rent them unmanned, and we gotta man them, then the operating, longshoreman will be given that opportunity to participate. If they don't have the licensed crane operators, what the longshoremen have always done in the past is they went to the operating engineers for that licensed crane operator, because that's the only place actually at the time they could get them. But this will eliminate one thing that these bargaining people, when we're bargaining with these companies, is to sit there and say, we're gonna have somebody stand by, because they bring you in, because you're on a light crane, we've got to put those people in. This should eliminate.
Eliminate that, that's exactly what.
I don't believe in that type of operation,
Okay.
to be very honest with you. I don't believe that we should have standby people when doing that work, and they're not even qualified to do the work.
Well, that was my next question, if they're certified, do we need somebody standing by? You know,
As far as I'm concerned, if they don't meet these qualifications,
you know,
I'm not gonna pay them to stand there and watch, and have a company have to pay them, or us have to pay them. how you compete in that market. That's
Okay.
I wanted to show that, just say it.
And a lot of the rental companies, they wanna use their own men on their equipment. They're, you know, I don't know how much these things cost, but I'm gonna guess they're high six figures or low seven figures, and, they don't want some amateur, taking care of it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No.
Okay, agenda item B2 on page 4 has been replaced with one of the loose leaf papers that you received. Oh, so scratch that. My version is outdated, your version is correct. So, what this is a lease agreement with Leslie Parish. This is for the ILS facility that we have. We have a lease agreement that expires on September 30th, and we need to renew it for a 1-year period at $325.
Who's the one, this guy Hayes? Is that what he does?
Steve, do you want to describe this?
It's a facility that marks, it's a marking with, for the airport that we have to have, and we rent that property up there. I believe it's like a mile out.
Thank you.
I'll move that.
You think so? Second.
Or it's
Kevin?
renting it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda item B2 is ratification of approval of grant offer with the FAA administration. FAA has been great to work with, they've been extremely helpful. As you know, there's been a dysfunctional federal process this year for funding. We received a grant offer the other day for $3.6 million. It's funded 95% by the FAA, 2.5% by DOT, and 2.5% by OBPA for the runway rehab. We needed to turn that around and get that back to the FAA as soon as possible. Therefore, we did that, and we're looking for ratification of that agreement. I don't see a position where we would turn away a $3.6 million grant.
Okay, but this motion was already, this resolution was already passed, right?
No,
According to the records here.
this resolution, to true everything up, we need to have a ratification that matches this criteria. So what just went through facilities committee earlier today.
But, right, my question was back, we approved this back, I thought it was back in early March or something. Due to the fact that the money was held up by the FAA, but we still approved this portion of this. But we're gonna have double motions here, that's what I'm asking.
No, we accepted the bid pending funding. This is the grant offer, two different things.
So just, well, why does it say down there that I made the motion and Steve seconded?
Because we had to put somebody in the motion for a motion and a second and provide a copy to the FAA.
I recommended, when Wade asked me to expedite this whole thing, had been done ASAP, okay, and I said, facility chairperson will be Fred, and actually I put Steve down, I could've put anybody else, okay? I just moved that because the discussion I had was.
So did we vote on this?
No.
No,
this is
you're ready to do it right now.
We're gonna do it now.
So this motion is a tabled motion.
No, this motion is a brand new motion from a grant agreement that was received last week that was sent back to the FAA.
Fred, I think if you go back, you've vested the authority for these guys to go out and get grants into the staff. The trouble is, you like to approve them all. Well, they come in and you don't meet on that, the short time frame. So what you're doing is you're doing, not after the fact, but you've invested in authority, so you're now saying, yeah, you did it, now we approve of what you've done, that's all.
That's why it's a ratification.
It's a ratification.
Resolution. Normally, these things would be a resolution. This is a ratification.
So you should make the motion.
I will make the motion again.
Are you Frederick J.
Put Junior there if you want.
I second.
Surprise!
Okay, very good. All those, any further discussion, no?
gonna pass. Money's coming.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Guys, thank you.
Next thing I know, I'll see Gabby's name on it.
That's all right.
He wasn't even here. Okay, you got me straightened out, Mr.
There
Chairman.
you go. Now we're back to where we need to be.
Over on page 6, agenda item B3 is approval of the, let me back up here. Order of process, first thing we need to do is accept the grant, second thing we need to do is approve the engineering and design, and third thing we need to do is accept the bid, and that's what we're doing for order. The second thing on B3 is approval of a lump sum agreement with the CNS engineers. Cost on this, cost not to exceed is $680,000 on this. This is for the engineering and design of the project.
Fred wants to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I don't have a problem with it.
All right, thank you.
I'll
Need a
second, I'll second.
Doug, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes, thank you.
Okay, next up on page 7 is agenda item B4. This is approval of a contract with Barrett Paving Materials for alternate 3 at $3,278,894. This was a bid that was received on March 28, 2013, which were held pending FAA funding.
There are only two.
Yes, there were only two bidders.
And that was a bid back in March.
That was bid back in March. We did verify.
Does that meet our standards of,
Good question, it actually follows FAA standards as
FAA.
opposed to MWE standards. So,
Now, if we didn't accept their bids back in March, this is from March, am I correct? This is March.
yes, this is the one that
You
you.
couldn't ask us to be rebid, could you? Because it's already been accepted, submitted.
This
So that
this
is,
is the
you
second
wouldn't go
time.
back and say, all right, this is.
Mr. Chairman?
Fair.
This is the rebid of last year's.
Right, I knew because of there were some things that Green Island
Right.
couldn't meet and then whatever.
Right.
And we had to discredit that bid, or that, yeah, that bid.
We went back out for a bid.
Right,
All right,
correct.
go back
And
up.
these were the two bids that
That's
come in.
right, yes.
And that's why I was talking about the first motion was to hold that price, to hold that, and Barrett agreed to that. So that's why I was trying to make sure that I was getting this puzzle straight. Now, there's 3 pieces to it. So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept this resolution as prepared here today.
I'll second.
Move second, thank you. Any further discussion, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good.
Okay, one quick procedural note, in the future, you will see paperwork come through from New York State DOT on this project for the 2.5%. So just gonna file that in the mental if you would,
Okay.
and you can see that in our future board meeting. On page 8, this is approval of contract with Kodiak America. The date is August 20th, 2013. You received the bids associated with that, 3 bids. This is for snow removal equipment at the airport. Procedural note to explain here, this would be accepted pending FAA funding. FAA is coming up on the end of their fiscal year. They just got their process in order where they can spend money. The contracts are coming out in rush order. We don't want to miss our opportunity to get the piece of equipment, should the grant offer arrive. So this was why this one is pending funding by the FAA.
Okay, need a motion?
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Gavin will second.
Okay.
Any further
Is this
questions?
sell the other piece of equipment, or do we need it to keep it as a backup?
We'll, I think when it comes to that, that's another one to decide. It's kind of the question that's, the chairman asked me if we keep it and then it fails, maybe we'd be better off selling it and, getting some money out of it and deal with, we've been fine with one snowblower all the time. It's a luxury to have two, but, it's the reason we're getting a new one is because the old one is just, the reliability isn't there. So rather than leave it and not have it reliable, maybe it's time to salvage it or send it off.
Are they ever used in emergency, there's a plane coming and stuff, and they gotta, go down through it?
No,
Or they just cancel and think it's.
they just can't, yeah. And generally when the weather's that bad, it just slows right up. We just don't have.
At the port of exit, they know that they're not coming here.
Right.
They'll allow them.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking if we had two, then you'd say, oh, wait a
Oh,
minute,
yeah.
we gotta go here, let's go, but so that wouldn't be the case.
No.
Let them go, let them go down.
Trouble now.
Well, one of the questions I asked the facility was about friction testing, and that's something we need to look into.
Yeah.
As far as, there's a piece of equipment out there that tests for friction, whatever. That's something to look at. No further question, comments?
Yeah, just, Wade, I know this is pending FAA, funding, what do you think the chances are? I mean,
I think the chances are very good. FAA is trying to get an entire year's worth of funding out the door in less than a 2-month period. They've really got their work cut out.
Is it October 1st or October 31st, Dan?
Haven't checked in.
I think it's
the end of the February.
End of the
fiscal year.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. Sure.
It's coming up.